I think that Israel's battle against Iran's proxies actually predates the current war against Iran's nuclear weapons program. And therefore, you're going to see the continued targeting of Hezbollah operatives inside southern Lebanon and inside Syria, as and where they may be. And certainly, we've not lost sight of the continuing fight that we're taking to the terror army that is and was Hamas inside the Gaza Strip, as well as Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Both of those, to varying degrees, act as proxies of the Iranians. They're still up on their feet. They've not been completely destroyed, which is a separate, earlier set war aim of this continuing war that began in the wake of the October 7th massacre launched by Hamas. And of course, there is the continued attention placed on the Houthis, who have threatened to rejoin this campaign against the state of Israel. So Israel will fight these proxies wherever they may be. It's only reasonable that they will do so. But I'm very pleased that we've now turned our attention to really taking off the head of the octopus, that nuclear weapons program inside Tehran.
Right. So while the focus is on diminishing its nuclear capabilities and also its missile and military might, how does this regime change idea play into Israel's objectives?
Well, you know, the idea of regime change is an interesting one because it marks the point at where there may be some departure between the Trump administration and the government of the State of Israel. Within Israel, I've already said we've got 2 goals plus an outcome that we're pursuing. None of those include regime change explicitly stated by the Prime Minister, but the Minister of Defense here in Israel has previously called for regime change. And he seems to be aligned with some of the musings of President Donald Trump, who released a post earlier today, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially it said that while it's not politically correct to call for regime change, in the event that the Iranian regime will not moderate, perhaps it should indeed be toppled. And he concluded by saying, MIGA, make Iran great again. So there's a little bit of discord between how explicit Israel is willing to be about the notion of regime change and how explicit America is willing to be. Time will tell, really. But I can tell you that the Iranian regime is very, very embattled. It's teetering. And I think you need 2 things to bring about regime change in broad terms. Number 1 is an embattled regime. We have that. And number 2 is a popular uprising. And it's no coincidence that Israel struck at the opening of the Evin prison, which is where opponents of this regime have been detained. It's often been described as hell on earth. These are the people that the regime saw as a threat ideologically to the Ayatollahs. So the fact that Israel has blasted open that prison may foment further unrest that could lead to regime change, but it's not explicitly stated by our Prime Minister at this time.
Right. Does it open up the opportunity for a change in Iran? It seems expected that Iran will retaliate, yet 2 days since the strike and nothing yet. Do you think that it is imminent or something that in the days, weeks, perhaps even months, they may be readying to do?
Well, I think that the aspect that people should be focused on is actually the soft targets that Iran may turn its attention to by way of its sleeper cells and various proxies. And I'm talking about institutions within the United States of America, American facilities arrayed throughout the globe, whether that be embassies or such opportunities there, and also the Jewish community throughout the international community, particularly in North, Central, and South America. There's form for the Iranians targeting all of those installations, all of those opportunities. But in terms of it launching a deliberate, clear, focused, kinetic attack on U.S. assets in the region, I have to tell you, if that is done, I think it will only be done after significant telegraphing by the Iranians that they intend to strike, with the specific goal of giving the U.S. the opportunity to remove its assets from the firing line. They're in no position to escalate this war. They know it. And if past is prologue, we should look to the reaction of the Iranians after Qasem Soleimani was eliminated by President Trump during his first term. They did precisely that. They telegraphed that they would respond. They gave largely the opportunity for American assets to move out of the way, and then they launched something symbolic. Iran is a paper tiger. I believe it knows it is, and I think it's high time that the world understood the very same.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.